Today I want to talk about one of the most heartbreaking episodes in our lives, my wife and my life. It was our 25th wedding anniversary. And if you follow me, my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 4.5 years ago. And she went to 7 rehabs and had 4 DUIs. And it was a very involved situation. Our 25th wedding anniversary, I had set it up for going to Big Bear. We live about 2 hours from there. It's up in the mountains. It's a resort area. This would have been August of 2019, August 20th, as a matter of fact. And I had set up it's a nice place to go. There's a lake up there. It's a nice little town to hang out with, and I got in a hotel room. And the first day went very nice. And before I start the story, I really want to point out that these stories and situations that I talked about are really designed kind of like an AA meeting or a group therapy meeting. It's important to tell stories so that they resonate with people who they are particularly addressed to, which are both alcoholics and family members of alcoholics. This is how we learn and grow, through the experiences of others. So on that note, I'm going to continue the story. And the first day we went up in the mountains, it started out very nice. We had a nice lunch. There was some music outside. My wife was going to have knee surgery the next month, and she was on crutches, so it was very difficult for her to walk around. But, it was a very nice time. And I have a picture. It ended up being our last picture together, actually. There was a band outside, I remember, and we were just having a nice time. And she said, "Is it okay if I have a glass of wine?" I said, "Okay, you can have one, I guess." It was our 25th anniversary, and I had a beer, and it's probably the last time I ever drank with her, anything, because I never did before or after that either. And it was nice. So we went back to the room after lunch and hung out. Because her knees were bothering her, and after a few hours, I think she took a nap, and we went back out again. And unfortunately, we went out for dinner, and this is when things started going a bit awry. She had a pitcher of beer in front of me, and she was angry, a little bit not happy with me because I wouldn't drink with her, and I said, "No, I'm not drinking with her." And I remember I had a soda, and I just would not drink with her. And she had a whole pitcher of beer. Well, I think we had, I don't know what we had for dinner. I don't remember. All I remember is that she ended up drinking 2 pitchers of beer sitting in front of me. And I was like, I don't want to keep doing this. Man, this is our 25th wedding anniversary. You're drinking too much. And if it gets too much, it's not going to be good for either one of us. So we got through dinner, and I remember she was starting to feel a little bit looser. Obviously, she had 2 pitchers of beer, which is just an insane amount for one person to drink. And as usual, she took half her meal was in a doggy bag because it was really all about the alcohol. And then she wanted to continue to go outside, so we went outside. And on her crutches, I said, "Let's go back to the hotel room, or let's go into town and find something else to do." And she goes, "No, I just want to go check out this one place I wanted to go to." And there was another bar that was about, I don't know, 30 yards down the sidewalk. And I said, "No, I don't want to go in there. I do not want to go in there." And she just kept going on her crutches with 2 pitchers of beer in her already. And she hobbled up into this place, and when it was a restaurant bar. I'm like, "Well, I don't want to even walk in there." And she walked in, sat down. And really, at this point, it was self-preservation to make sure she didn't get herself into harm's way. And I just sat there at the table, and she ordered another pitcher of beer. And I just said, "I'm not paying for this. This is on you. I can't be part of the situation anymore. It's our 25th anniversary, and you're doing exactly what you do all the time." And she just, was getting mad with me. And I took the whole pitcher, and I walked it to another table across the restaurant, and I set it down because I knew it was very difficult for her to get up and go get to it. And I said, "I'm leaving, when you're ready to come, I'll meet you by the car." And I walked out of the restaurant, and I went back up the street and had an ice cream by myself. There's a little ice cream parlor, and I don't know, half hour went by, and I just said, "I haven't seen her yet." I'm sure whatever I find is not going to be good. And again, I was really trying to be tolerant at this point because it was our 25th anniversary, but like any day, it made no difference. So I really struggled with going back. So I walked back to the restaurant that she was in, and unfortunately, she was passed out in the middle of this restaurant, and she had peed all over herself, and she had the pitcher in her hand, and she had fallen over, and the pitcher of beer had gone all over the floor, and at this point, she was passed out with her crutches sitting next to her. The owner of the restaurant and two waiters were trying to help her get up, and I walked in and I was absolutely furious. I go, I cannot believe you're putting me and us through this once again, and I don't think I'm really going to recover from this. Whatever anger I had was useless. I don't think she understood what I was saying anyways. So anyways, the owner and the two waiters got her up off the floor. We got her onto a desk chair that the owner got out from the office, and we wheeled her out of the restaurant down the sidewalk. And I pulled up the car at the end of the sidewalk, and the 3-4 of us were able to hoist her into the passenger side seat of the car. And they said, kindly, please don't come back. I said, I understand. I don't want to come back. I asked your waiters about 5 times not to serve her alcohol, and they kept serving her alcohol. So don't put this on me. It was kind of not a very pleasant experience, to say the least. And I'm kind of giving you the short version, as believable as that is. And that really ended up being the first day of a 2-day event in Big Bear for our 25th anniversary, and it was really pretty horrendous. The second day got worse, and I ended up just going home early. But I'm going to make that the second day in a second video. Eventually that night, I got her back up into the hotel room, which was an endurance by itself because it was on a second floor, and I was afraid she was going to fall down the stairs, and she nearly did. But we finally got her into bed, and that was the end of the first day. And as always, we have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Link is in the bio. It's designed to help families and alcoholics. We've got about going on 3,000 members right now between the two groups. Please join that for a lot of insight and education on this horrific disease. And again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, we have the coaching program called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Again, link is in the bio if you want to work with me one-on-one. And again, thanks so much for listening. And this will actually be part 2, day 2 of my wife's drunken debauchery during our 25th wedding anniversary back in August of 2019. It was really the last time we ever really did anything together significantly. And again, this is the first time you follow me, my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder, unfortunately, about 4.5 years ago. And I tell these stories so that they resonate with family members and other alcoholics who are going through this type of situation, because it's really important to talk about it. As difficult and as really kind of sometimes ugly as it all is, it's important to discuss this and to bring it out into the open. So day 2 of the debauchery of Big Bear, when we went up to Big Bear, it's about 2 hours away. And the first day she had passed out at a restaurant. And I actually wanted to go home that night, but it was very late and she was inebriated, and it was I just got her to bed, and that's about the best we could do. So the following morning we woke up, and I'll continue the story. And the following day, we woke up in the hotel room around 10 o'clock or so. I'd probably gotten up earlier. Amanda was obviously hungover. She was fairly embarrassed the night before. I don't think she had a whole lot of memory of it. And the only reason why I didn't go home right then, and I probably should have, is that I had booked a boat tour, a lake tour around Big Bear Lake. And it's a beautiful area, a lot of famous people up there. It's a very interesting tour, lasts like an hour and a half. And I had booked it for, I think, 12:30 or 1 o'clock later that day. So we slowly got up, and I think I don't remember, I think we grabbed some breakfast. But anyways, there's a long dock that you go down. It was very difficult for her to get down it. I think she was on crutches at the time. Yeah, she was. And we got her up. They got her up on the boat, and a member of the people who worked there helped her get up on the boat, and we went to the top. I wanted to get a good view of the place, and I was ready for a nice hour and a half just to relax after certainly the debacle of the night before. And I was a little bit quiet because I wasn't too happy about the current situation. And just as we were taking off from the dock, I'll never forget this, she goes, something, I have to go to the bathroom. I went, we're just leaving now. You've just decided we need to do this now. I said, okay, whatever, just go to the bathroom. Never saw her again the entire tour. Never saw. I sat up on top of that boat, watched the entire tour, experienced the entire thing all by myself. And I really didn't have any illusions that what was going on, but you have to understand, unless you've been in that situation, you just get to the point where you can't care anymore. You can't let it be part of your day, even though you have to suffer the consequences. But I'll tell you what happened to her. I mean, the tour was very interesting. I was just enjoying it by myself, and I probably should have gone up there by myself. I probably would have had a better time, even though it was our 25th anniversary. But as the tour ended, I never saw her again. I mean, as crazy as it was, and they docked the boat, and as everybody was letting out, I found Amanda at the bottom of the boat. And before people say, well, why did you just leave her? Why didn't you just, why did you go find her? She was your wife, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not the situation. Like I said, you get to the point where you just can't do it anymore, and it's irrelevant because there's nothing you're going to do to keep someone out of harm's way. You're dealing with an adult. You're not the police. You're not a prison guard, and you're not a drug and alcohol counselor. They're your spouse. So I got to the bottom of the boat, and there was a bar at the bottom. I hadn't even realized. Obviously, she had seen it. It was just a little corner thing, and I think they, sold drinks and stuff. And obviously, she'd been sitting there for an hour and a half, just pounding away on wine or beer, whatever she was drinking, and she was fairly inebriated. I still, again, I don't understand why the bartenders were, feeding her alcohol, just serving her alcohol. But she was fairly inebriated, and it actually, she was very wobbly. She was the last person to get off, and it took a couple staff members from the boat to get her off the boat, and they helped me walk her down the dock that was, it was a big dock, but, it did rock, and it's very difficult if you're on crutches, much less being inebriated. And that was just a ridiculous situation. I mean, it wasn't like she was even there. We were in two different places. I got her to the car, and then eventually I went back to the hotel. I just simply grabbed the luggage and drove back home, and that was really the end of it. Really, the aftermath of this is the following day, the following week, she really went into a deep depression, and I think she just hit a downward cycle after this particular event, because she realized that even though it was our 25th anniversary, she couldn't even get through a day, and I think it scared her in a way that I don't think she ever realized that she realized she ruined the entire weekend. And she realized there wasn't a whole lot she could do about it at this point. I mean, she'd already been to everything, okay? Rehabs, outpatient facilities, counseling, all kinds of things, medications. And essentially, she was getting worse. And I think at this point, it had affected her brain. I think, looking back, I think she had the early stages of Wernicke-Korsakoff, which is wet brain, a form of dementia, and at the time I really didn't understand that, but she was definitely going downhill at this point. It was very sad, and that was our 25th anniversary. It was our last anniversary, as she passed away about five months after this, in February of 2020. And I tell this story again as a cautionary tale to help other alcoholics and the families that they live with. And again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Next week, because of the promotion of the book Amanda, A Cautionary Tale, I'm probably going to start going live right around 12, 1 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. But I'll experiment, see how much energy I have. Also, you can join the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Just click on the link in the link tree. It takes you right to it. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, we have the complete coaching program. It takes about 45 minutes, an hour. Set up a breakthrough call if you want to work with me one-on-one. The call is free. The coaching program definitely is not. But I'm looking for people who want to change their lives and the lives of their family. And again, thanks so much for listening.